Yeah.
Can you hear us online?
Got it.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're just gonna start with some introductions. If you're joining us on Zoom, could you please do your introduction in the chat for me? Your name and affiliation. And then we'll go to start.
Good morning, I'm David Mormon with the American Red Cross.
I'm Mary Ann Kramer. Here's my husband Don, and we're from Widgie Creek, the townhomes at Widgie Creek.
Hi, I'm Bob Lichting. I'm from the Widgie Creek Homeowner Association.
You guys know each other?
We don't know you, but I guess we should.
Janet Gandy, Widgie Creek Homeowner Association.
Emily Curtis, not Widgie Creek. With Discovery Air Forest.
Melissa Steele, Bed Fire and Rescue.
Hi, Gary Marshall, Executive Director for Sheets County Fire District 2, which would you fix in our district?
Robin Church, Three Pines HOA, Emergency Preparedness Lead for the Summit West Neighborhood District, and Secretary for Project Wildfire Neighborhood Coalition.
Jackie Nersky, I am with Pacific Power and I'm the emergency manager for the Central Wires District. So from Lincoln City all the way till Bend.
That's a small
My
area.
name is Is that, was it funny? I mean,
No, like that's a small area and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's quite
my name
large.
is Mark Gentle and I'm with the Aubrey Butte Neighborhood.
Welcome, everyone. All right, so Kevin might have a couple of announcements when he gets here. But we did, I just want to let everyone know, we did hire our grants coordinator position. Lauren Street is going to be joining us. She's got we're excited to have her. And then we've got working on this year, this meeting for the year, we're working on our program of work today. So we're going to be going over like a discussion of what we would like to learn about this year. Nathan, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, good morning, Nathan Garrett, Deschutes County Sheriff's Office Emergency Manager.
Welcome. So, it's been really slow for me this morning. All right, so I'll be, based off of our discussion today, I'll be updating our 2025 program report. I will pull up. One, see it. All right, so a few things that were new last year, we added the Project Wildfire Neighborhood Coalition, which is the committee of Project Wildfire. It's going really well. We have quite a few members now.
I think we're representing at least probably in the 40s or 50s somewhere, each neighborhood. So 40 or 50 different neighborhoods in Deschutes County we are representing. So pretty awesome. We're always looking for more.
Yeah, so if anyone knows anybody that might need some mentorship or help getting their firewise off the ground, really great place to start.
What would you recommend be the best way we direct folks to that committee?
Me and Melissa are good.
Okay.
Yeah, well, they want some information. We send out stuff through the Project Wildfire channels as well, so.
Okay.
If someone wants to get on the list, the email list,
Yeah. And for those of you that aren't, familiar with what that actual group is, like she said, it's a subcommittee off of Project Wildfire specifically for people to get mentorship, ask questions, get the latest news of who's doing what works in becoming Firewise. I realized I was getting all the same questions for the last 3 years over and over, and we thought, why couldn't we have a group where if somebody's wanting to become Firewise, somebody can be a mentor for them and show them the process. And so it's been really excellent. We're really a working group. That's what it is. Project Wildfire is the big, expansive kind of umbrella of that. And then the smaller group is each community has a representative where we can share ideas and things. And that's what it is. If you're interested, you can always email me or Corinne.
has been a great resource.
Thank you. We're trying to get a link on Project Wildfire for that. We're working on it.
Yeah, any of our resources right now, we have on Google Drive that we can share out to. So other than that, the strategic objectives for Project Wildfire, stay pretty consistent year to year. Adding the subcommittee has been really awesome. I'm actually really excited to see that grow. But I wanted to open up discussion for anything topics that you might want to learn about this year. Last year we had quite a few really good speakers. So I don't know if you guys just want to jump in and talk about things that you're interested in. If you want to go around the room.
I can start us off.
All right.
So I think this is an excellent opportunity to address the public's needs and wants. And so as you can imagine, in 1 week, we had the hazard map come out. We had the high letters come out, and we had LA and their devastation all in 1 week. And so you can imagine the requests that we got for all kinds of things. And so just to kind of put it in perspective, I did around 200 wildfire risk assessments last year. I got 200 requests in 1 week in January. So people are aware. It's not just wildfire risk assessments. They want to know things like how is our infrastructure looked at as far as wildfire, what were some others? The roads, the hydrant systems, there's a lot of questions about that. And so I would just suggest that maybe we have somebody throughout the year on one of those specialties talk about that in regards to wildfire. So like utilities have, you know, that they can speak on what they do when it comes to wildfire. You know, the hydrant systems we could talk about, you know, and the water supply. That's just a suggestion, because I know that that need is out there for information. And so to put that together, the city of Bend came out with a new website, and I want to just put this out here right now since it's a great plug for it. This is a wildfire preparedness website that the city of Bend did a fabulous job on. And so it is a working document. There is a survey that you could take to manage or to measure your level of preparedness. There is also ask your question, so you can type in a question and they'll get back to you. But that website is going to be Bend, Oregon, all lowercase, all one word, .gov, G-O-V, /wildfire dash, all capitals, FAQ, and then lowercase s. So that's bendoregon.gov /wildfire dash FAQs. We can, at the end of the meeting, go back if we need to say that again. But that kind of answers all the questions, but that's my suggestion for
Great.
addressing those things this year.
You could probably send
Yeah.
that to Lorraine.
Yeah, I will.
Lorraine, you could send that
Yeah.
out to everybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we had, Sid Power do presentations for us, in 2023 and in 24, so.
Yeah, we have quite a few updates too, and stuff that we're doing, so that would be good.
Okay, yeah. That reminded me.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. We had a couple of people join us, or do you want to do a quick introduction?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Sorry, I'm a couple minutes late. I went up to the road department this morning. That is not where this is at. I'm Lauren Street. I'm the new Deschutes County Natural Resources Specialist. So I'll be working with Kevin and Corinne on fuels mitigation and grants and contracts. So I'm excited to be here.
We had a couple of new people in the back. Want to do your intro for us?
I'm Monty Damarell. I'm with the UDRC.
Yeah,
Dean Richardson, I'm also shooting. It's UDRC.
Welcome. So just to get you all up to speed, we're just having a discussion about our 2025 program of work and topics that people are interested in.
not showing.
So, public wants information like utilities and water supply. The new city event. So it's a wildfire.
It's a wildfire website, yeah. Yes, and I'm emailing it to you. It should be coming through. Perfect. Thank you. All right.
And another kind of related is just for also remind people of the dashboard that we developed, and we've now added the critical transportation routes, which I think Ben linked to that.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, it was a joint effort. Robin?
I was just going to ask if Project Wildfire has a connection to organizations like the Chamber of Commerce or the Central Oregon Builders Association. Because at least around my community, we're seeing a lot of new development and homes being put in with combustible fencing, home to home, up to home, all these wooden attachments between homes. We're seeing homes that are being built with the standard, 1/4 inch venting, even in new communities like Discovery West, Shevlin West, Skyline West. And so as a fire west coordinator, those aren't even my communities, but we're reaching out to these folks, and hopefully we'll, start to them and, kind of bring them up to speed and so forth. But everyone's going to have to retrofit their vents and do a lot of things differently. I would say the same with respect to if there's any sort of landscaping landscaping company collaborative or something like that. I really think that we need to begin to build those relationships so that professionals are coming up to speed with regards to what Firewise is and the practices that they use, because some of the things that they're doing are not in the best interest of this community long-term. And I'm talking generations, not just the next 5 years, it's generational. That'd be my suggestion.
Wonder how many smoke activated cameras are deployed in Deschutes County and surrounding areas that can assist in monitoring. I know that some of the utilities have instituted that on their lines, but I think a lot of the infrastructure and transmission facilities are confidential information, so we don't know really where those are. Wondered if the folks from Deschutes County could, or is there a tracking mechanism to those things? Is that technology working?
There's quite a few cameras in Central Oregon. I would say South County is kind of the gap right now. But like if you go basically Lava Butte North, it's pretty well covered by cameras. And if you want to go to, is it Alert Wildfire is that the website that, and you can actually you can sign in and watch the cameras yourself.
It's completely open to anybody, Alert Wildfire and Alert West.
Yeah.
They're two different, they actually split. They used to be one company and then they split. But they do have cameras that anybody can go onto. And I would also suggest Watch Duty, if you guys aren't already engaged with that, to be making sure you're on that as well, because that's integrated with those camera systems as well.
Sorry, it was.
Watch Duty and then Alert West and Alert Wildfire.org.
I think U of O is a partner in that.
Radio.
Yeah.
Let me,
There's cameras on Pine.
I got this Project Wildfire on.
Albutte, Pine Butte.
There's a fire.
Camera.
No, this is not a fire, Project
Yeah.
Wildfire.
Yeah, there's,
They engage all different ones.
yeah. Very good.
You find that those are effective?
So Central Oregon Interagency Dispatch has somebody that's monitoring those cameras plus more, I think, that ODF has. I think they're effective. It's all AI, so it's constantly scanning, and then when it picks up something, so I get alerts. And right now, because burning is open, my phone is like constantly going off. It was torches off a burn pile, you get an alert. So yeah, I would say it's fairly effective. It even pick up fire at night. So like I'll get notifications at night where you know, something's burning and or like a structure fire at night, it'll pick it up. So it seems to work. I don't know if there's like major success stories yet, that at least in Central Oregon, but
We also do, like for the utilities, we have cameras that we have purchased that they put up in towers at places, and we actually engage the local public safety partners and allow them to come on and engage that for free. And it is AI detection as well.
What would it take to get cameras in South County?
Probably have to talk to our project manager that's on that, so that I put a note down there to be able to engage them about it. It depends on, so of course, the utility is concerned of, you know, within our area, if it affects our lines and things like that. And we allow, or we engage the public safety partners to be able to use it as well if we have it. But if it's not around our infrastructure, we're probably not gonna put it there, but that doesn't mean other utilities might not do the same, so. But I can check to see what that looks like.
yeah, I don't, it's kind of it's a network of different cameras. So like some are ODOT owned, some are, you know, so. Probably it has more to do with the backhaul of the capability to get the data, because it's probably, I imagine it's fairly high data intensive, so. They have to have a site and then, so, yeah. I'm sure they're coming, to be honest with you. I was just
They
trying to
probably
Google
is.
if there's a list of what's coming, because, you know, like. Pine Butte is a new one. It came on last year, year before. It's one of the newer ones, so. Yeah, I remember when it came online, but, yeah.
Is this something that Mid-State co-op could be made aware of and possibly be involved with?
I think that we are engaging in local utilities and stuff. I don't know how much we've engaged with Midstate because Midstate is kind of outside our territory.
I'll email it's U of O Hazards Lab.
Yeah.
I'll email them and ask them if they've got anything planned for some issues.
I know that they are looking at expanding. So,
Because Midstate covers all the way to Bachelor.
right.
So they've got areas that you could have cameras all the way to Bachelor.
There are some that I was watching them this last fire season. Because we share the line with BPA. So, we were watching them for that purpose. And, so I know that there are some cameras, it just is not, it doesn't go, they point north instead of.
Thank you.
Are these air sensors or are they true cameras?
They're cameras.
Yeah, good morning. I'm sorry, I didn't get your name. Yeah,
Me? Oh, Robin Church. You just
Yeah,
don't
Rob-
recognize me from afar.
yeah, no,
I've been around.
I
Dean's hiding behind.
I see faces.
No, that's Project Wildfire.
Anyway, I wanted to dovetail on.
Oh, I didn't know you were here or not. I saw you on the iPhone, so I thought you were still coming in.
Oh, yeah, my kids, they're like,
Youth now.
Got it.
So I wanted to dovetail a little bit on what you were saying, because that, it's along the lines of what I've been thinking, we had, the Paradise Fire, Santa Rosa, here in Oregon, Troy, even Lahaina on Maui. These were all weather events. And so what's been on my mind ever since the LA fires broke out and created the devastation there is urban and suburban wildfire. And a lot of people haven't adjusted their thinking yet that way, that and everybody always wants to point to what started the fire, but once a fire gets going, it gets into the community, starts becoming structure to structure. These have been weather events. Most of them have been high wind events. Gets into a community. It should be a wake-up call for all the communities in the Western United States, as far as I can see. So, I built a new house this year. I'm in South County. And there's new codes coming out to mitigate structural fires. And I haven't seen the codes, but I think I'm already ahead of them because I've been, trying to build a house that won't burn. So, but one thing I noticed is that even though these new codes are coming out, talking about some of the things that you brought up even, for whatever reason, like Bend, Oregon, it doesn't apply. It applies to us, in the quote unquote, rural areas. But I think that because the structures are so close together and they're going higher up, and like you say, there's wooden fences in between them or attached and all this kind of stuff, that we could have the kind of events that everybody was so paying attention to so much this week coming out of California. So I just wanted to bring that up because Bend is at risk and all the suburban areas are at risk. And it's not just the trees, it's not just the brush, it's the structures themselves are highly flammable. And toxic, I mean, they're, some ways they're worse, you know, as far as like the devastation. So, so that's my 2 cents on it. And I don't know exactly what the messaging should be, but I mean, everybody should be on board with wildfire mitigation. Wildfire is just out there in the woods. Wildfire, you know, I got a notice, I think it was last week, from ODF, notifying me that I'm in a hazard area and I have exposure to the wildland urban interface, which is something that I've known for over 50 years. But, I don't know that people in Bend got a notice that they're in the, wildland urban interface, because urban is part of that item. So, I really think we're gonna need to make a major shift in our, conceptual structure, because we still have codes. I mean, California's gone through, I think, 2 or maybe 3 rounds of different codes, and it's actually statistically proven that the survivability of structures, even in fires, improves considerably when houses are built to a standard that mitigates the invert intrusion.
Well, Dean, we do have some codes. I mean, I've been working on this for almost 50 years now, but after the skeleton fire, the building official and then fire department came together and worked with Deschutes County to develop a standard that all homes shall not have combustible roofs anymore. In the Aubrey Hall fire, the skeleton fire, that was our major reason for homes burning, and we had to adopt that not only in every city but also Deschutes County. So we've done that now in Deschutes County. We could have taken it a step further, but we were getting a lot of pushback from the Home Builders Association. I don't know if that fight's still there, because a lot of people voluntarily put on a hardy board and non-combustible siding. We still have the decking problem, we have the vent problem, we have the fencing problem, we have the immediate surrounding of the home issue, and how do you tag that? Because building officials say that's not in our purview. Is that the fire department's purview? Is that the planning department? Cities are required to have higher density today within the state of Oregon. It's not like that in every state. When I was fire vice advisor for 9 states, every state was so different, and Oregon was the most restrictive. But then again, we're creating our homes closer together, where you can reach out and, you know, shake your hands with your neighbor. And a lot of neighbors don't like that, because they don't like people looking in their windows, so they put up the arborvitae so they don't have to see their neighbor. They put up the wood fencing so they don't have to see their neighbor, and these are all reasons that fire comes in underneath the eaves, takes out the home. And you're exactly right, these are urban fires, what we're seeing on television. They really don't have anything to do with the wildland fire, because the embers are larger. We have convected heat that goes from structure to structure. The water supply, fire engines, you know, when you have 10,000 homes and it takes 3 fire engines for every home, you know, there's 30,000 fire engines. How much water supply do you have? When you build a water supply system that's only designed for maybe 3, 4, or 5 homes or a commercial building, you don't build it for these types of fires. So everybody's going to have the pointing finger blame game, and they're going to say, how this fire started? But you're absolutely right. The fire could have started from a vehicle fire on a windy day. It could have been a barbecue. It could have been cigarettes. It could have been fireworks. The causes, you can't take care of all the causes, but what you can do is build new communities so they withstand fire. Are you going to have losses? Yes, you will, but you won't have the losses that's great. What you see in LA, Paradise, Lahaina, you'll probably see 80% survival and 20% destruction. And that's without even fire department intervention, because the fire departments are not effective in those types of urban fires. So this takes political will. And unfortunately, the political will isn't there when you look at the community location with changing codes. Even the wildfire mapping I see today that State Board came out with, it's not accurate. It's not even beginning to be accurate. Senate Bill 360 is far more accurate because we did ground truthing for many years. We went out every 5 years and ground truth those areas. We said, well, you know, your brush has grown back or it has not. But when you see Deschutes River Woods as a moderate, I mean, that just blows my mind. And you're giving them a false sense that, oh, we're safe out here. We're the same as Bend, but they're not. And then in an urban fire, it's not the same as DRW because their homes are spaced out. So we have two different types of fires, but people will continue to bring these together as a wildland fire. What we need to separate it. So we have urban fires, and when you build buildings that close together, you need to have different building codes. And I think that's more important in the city of Bend than it is in your area or Deschutes River Woods, because those homes are spread apart. Then you start taking care of your brush, because it's not one home going to the next home, usually in those areas where you have 1 acre, 2 acre, 3 acre, 5 acre parcels. Urbanized fire, wildfire. So it's going to take a big shift, and my prediction is it's going to come from FEMA. It will take a federal initiative to say, hey, we can't do this anymore, because 80% of the fires are funded. All these big conflagrations are funded by FEMA. FEMA is budgeting $44,000 for every homeowner in LA County. So they're going to run out of money, and they're going to say enough is enough, and they're going to probably push an initiative down, say, if you want our help in the future, we got to start at the state level, we got to start at the county level, which will dictate to the city level and the planning departments, this is how you're going to build the future, or we're not going to give your help. That's my feeling. Insurance companies are also going to be a big part. They're going to say, we're not going to insure you anymore until you do this. We saw that with our wood stove issue in the 1980s. And we were losing a home a week in Deschutes County. Throughout Central Oregon, we lost families due to wood stoves. But because insurance companies got in and said, we're not insuring you anymore until you fix that wood stove problem. They had firefighters going out, going through attics and what have you, and doing inspections, just like we're doing with wildfire. And insurance companies are going to be a big player in this, because you're not going to be able to get insurance.
Gary, how do we bring insurance companies to the table?
Wow, through the insurance commissioner for the state of Oregon. That's where it starts. They're the ones that tell the insurance companies, these are the playing rules in the state of Oregon.
On the insurance topic, I don't know if y'all were here when Steve Hawks from IBHS spoke. I think that was or November. October, it was the October meeting. I actually, when I originally reached out to him, I was trying to get someone from IBHS to talk about the insurance industry, and he actually gave me the name of someone from the Insurance Information Institute who I have reached out to hopefully speak to Project Wildfire on that topic. I'm trying to get her early this spring, so I'll keep you all posted.
Gary, what's your suggestion as to how we create a public awareness and public support for things that you're talking about? Do you have ideas on how we can do that?
Well, I feel, and it's just what's worked, the recipe for us in the past for Deschutes County.
Hello.
That is, we have to have our local leaders.
Go for longer walk today?
We have to have our county commissioners, elected officials in cities behind us. They don't have to be at these meetings, but they have to be here to support us. That was a big shift that I felt in the late 90s and early 2000s, that we had a lot of political power. When we started Project Wildfire, it was actually called Project Impact before that. And it was the county commissioners that were here, at least two of them, usually at these meetings, they helped push that agenda, but we still were not getting a lot from the cities. because we felt it was a wildland problem, but what we need now is, if we wanted, as Dean said, if we had a high wind event, whatever the ignition source was, and it took out 3,000 homes in Bend, you know, that's going to wake them up. The ember is hot. It's going to be hot for the next couple of years. That's what happened in Detroit. That's what happened along the McKenzie River and Gates and all these homes that burned in the state of Oregon. They got the message and they're putting a lot of money into it, but those embers tend to fade. And I think the reason that Project Wildfire has been so successful is because we have fires on a regular basis here. Over on that side of the mountains, they have them every, 50, 100 years. And so generations forget about those big fires. We don't here. This is something we live with every summer. So when you look at the largest fires, they're always going to happen on that side of the mountains. Every large fire, mega fires, it's always happen on that side of the mountains, and it's not happening on this side of the mountains. And that's just because of our fuel types. And I think Project Wildfire, county commissioner, city of Bend has done a lot more. I think we need to get more city individuals involved that are public leaders and help get us that support and work with the Home Builders Association. And I think a lot of homes, as what I see out there is people are voluntarily building with fire resistant materials. And there's a lot of different reasons for that, but I think if you go out to Miller Tree Farm, you're going to see one of the best well-protected communities in the United States. And Dean says, yeah, it's money, but really, when you look at statistics, the change from how you build a home to, building with fire resistant construction isn't up, it's 5%.
No, but I mean, they have sprinkler systems and everything.
Internal sprinkler systems. And the reason we designed it that way is because we were following all the NFPA standards. There wasn't another home group in the nation that was looking at all the standards. We went with wider roads, we went with wider cul-de-sacs, we had good water supply. We grouped the homes in the 500 acres to 2-acre lots instead of 10 and 20-acre lots. So an fire engine could protect more than one home. And internal sprinklers, yeah, they're a little bit more expensive. But again, if you leave a window open, when you evacuate, that ember comes inside your house. Hopefully that sprinkler system is going to mitigate that. Look what people are spending on barricade and all these applications. I got a call recently again, these fire sprinkler systems that you set up on top of the home, they're really pushing those, but in 80-mile-an-hour winds, those things are not going to work. If you don't have power, you're not going to have a pump. Well, where's your water reservoir? Who's setting it up if you evacuate? I mean, there's all those problems. You have to build out fire resistant materials. And that's where you're going to get your losses to a minimal amount and allows firefighters a safer place to work, better response, and better evacuation. We have to build our communities different, but unfortunately, like Lahaina, like LA will be the same way. The building codes are in place now, so it really depends how they rebuild. All those people in along McKenzie River or Detroit, they wanted building permits right away. You want to rebuild right away, but the codes weren't up to date at that time, so they're going to rebuild the same way they built before, and that fire will happen again, and they will lose their homes.
It's like we build in the floodplain.
Exactly, it's the same thing.
I want to get back to your question about education, because that was a fabulous question. So we recognize that educating our city leaders and our county commissioners is a priority, right? That's where it starts. So I sit on the Wildfire Education Group for Central Oregon Fire Prevention Co-op, and we are doing classes for communities that are home protection strategy workshops, right? We're doing a great job educating the public, but we need to take a time out, and we've realized that. And so now we are putting on a class, this home protection strategies class, for City of Bend employees, planning, building, county commissioners, all fire department members are welcome. And this is a special, I called it an emergency class because we need to address this now, and that's February 4th. And so that class is already in the works. It's a closed class. If anyone's interested in getting one of these classes, I'll send Corinne the QR code for your neighborhood, or if you want to attend one later on this spring. But this is a closed class for city, leaders to educate them on what we're trying to get ahead of out there. They need to be on the same page as well. And so that's our first step that we're taking to educate who are the policymakers, right? Who are those lawmakers? So I'm hoping we'll have a good attendance. If not, we're gonna push it again. I wish I could make it mandatory, but we're gonna start with that. It's a really good way to start.
Great start.
Yeah.
Ray's had his hands up for a little while, so I'm gonna see what Ray has. Ray,
Oh, I just had to unmute.
there you are.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, I had to unmute, it's early. I agree with everything that Gary and Melissa, Robin, and Dean are bringing up. I think our group as a whole really understands the mind change now that we're looking at, like Jack Cohen says, we're looking at urban fire, and we should stop talking about wildfire and just go back to talking about fire. Because it's home ignitions that are the problem. If the fire is out in the wildlands, the policy now is if it's not endangering anything, we should let it burn.
Always.
And that's what we should be doing. It's what nature does to control the fuel supply. My problem has always been that when we look around the table here, we have county, we're a rural fire district, we have all the Firewise communities, we have Melissa. We don't have the city here. In my recollection of our meetings, we've never had a city official here. I think Gary's got it right. If you don't have the political will, the people who make decisions are not here involved, not just educating. We have to not just educate them, but we have to change their behavior. They have to take action. They have to do something. And if city officials, city councilors are not here learning and integrating all that we're saying into action at the city level, then we're always going to be behind. My great hope is that the insurance companies will just flat out raise the rates so high that in new developments that are high density, not stick built, they won't insure them. Or the insurance will be so high for individual homes or apartments that people can't buy them. That could be the wake-up call finally. Yeah, as you can tell, I'm a real pessimist. Nobody's inviting me to parties anymore because I'm such a downer. But it's time that we do something at the official level, the political level. I think the county commissioners by and large understand. I mean, Patty's survived fires. There's nothing like surviving a wildfire to make you aware of wildfire. But we have to make everybody aware that this is fire, not wildfire. And as Gary says, the big problem is urban fire because that's where life is. And face it, we're here to protect life and then property.
All right, this is a great discussion, but I need to steer us back to maybe topics.
Yeah, I was gonna ask Corinne if maybe if you pull the plan back up, that maybe we just look at either wedging in an influence of public policy opportunity and however, because I think that's really what this discussion really kind of captured was. So I don't know where it would fit on the plan, but rather than, I think it's just probably more of a strategic public policy.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that we could really, even in objective A, identify new partners in emerging issues. Finding those partners. We have occasionally had people from the city join Project Wildfire meetings here and there, but they don't typically continue to stay. So, you know, it's a matter of how we get them.
So if I can just interject, with respect to public policy, there are a couple of Firewise coordinators on my side of town, and I got together in December and realized that the city of Bend was the council was going to be forming their new biennial goals. And they were taking input from the community and then would be going on a retreat in February to discuss and kind of coalesce around those goals. So the three of us wrote a letter to city council and to the planning commission, asking them to improve Bend's wildfire resiliency by reviewing and then strengthening city ordinances, design guidelines, and policies related to wildfire resiliency, wildfire hazard reduction. Subsequent to sending this letter to them, we've surveyed the Summit West Neighborhood District residents, and 80% of them said, yes, the city should do this. We asked the question very specifically. And then also at the Project Wildfire Neighborhood Coalition, we raised the question to them. And it was a unanimous agreement that the city of Bend leaders should do this. And so this coming Wednesday at 5 o'clock, City Council will be is inviting public comment, and we will be there, all three groups, you know, myself, just as a Firewise coordinator, the Summit West Neighborhood Chair, as well as one of my colleagues, Laurence, to represent what Project Wildfire Neighborhood Coalition is behind. And so this is an opportunity, especially right now, because, you know, the city is forming their goals. And we have, you know, an ability to influence that and provide our input, and, you know, they'll either think about it, maybe they'll take some action, maybe they won't, I don't know, but it's a first step. So I will also tell you that I learned from the Aubrey Butte, Mark, you're with Aubrey Butte. Aubrey Butte also surveyed their residents, and their primary concern also is wildfire. So we've got two neighborhood districts within Bend that are coming to the table to present this to city council. And so, you know, regardless of where you are, I mean, just send city council some input, emails, anything at this point in time right now would be really, really impactful. And, you know, perhaps we bump this. Dean, I'm, you know, welcome to give you a copy of our letter and just revise it for the city of Lapine, you know. And, you know, maybe people up in Redmond or Sister, well, the city of Sisters is actually working to review their city policies and codes and so forth. So, you know, maybe we can bump this to a county level. Why not? Why not try? I mean, this is a county-wide organization. Project Wildfire Neighborhood Coalition is a county-wide operation or organization. And you know, we have a tremendous amount of capital here to influence policy. So
Do you have BPRD involved?
Melissa has gotten Bend Parks and Rec involved on a neighborhood basis. I've gotten them involved in my neighborhood.
It's just starting, that partnership is just starting. What we are going to, we all have different priorities, right, with different organizations. My priority is life safety. And so where their land meets up with private homeowners, we are strengthening that defensible space along those fence lines and boundaries, and that's where we're starting. We're gonna look at prioritizing which residents have the higher risk, meaning are you right next to a, you know, canyon, river, whatever it may be. And a lot of the parks wanna stay, and I put this in air quotes, natural. However, we need to make sure that they are also, you know, stewards of the land. They need to follow WUI code, once it goes into effect, they should be following best practices and they're on board and super happy to work with us. So it's a great partnership. It's just getting started. I don't see anything happening right away.
All right. Topics. Does anyone have any ideas or things they want to hear about from speakers and presentations? I don't know who was first.
Yeah, landscapers. We do need to get them on board. People will build a fabulous home, and then after the home is built, the landscapers come in, plant arborvitae and bark mulch up to the house, things like that.
I'll tell you, Dean, we also have a wildfire home protection strategies workshop just for landscapers we did last year.
That's excellent.
And that was probably, I will say, the most interactive class we've ever put on, and it was fabulous. They also get free CE credits, so that's how we lured them in. But it is that they are being addressed. Absolutely.
Corinne, maybe along back to, since a lot of discussion on public policy, maybe an invitation to our local state delegation of, if they just be willing to come talk to the group and talk about what their goals are as far as at the state level, legislative action that might help move the needle forward. So that might be a topic if we could. Probably won't be in the next few months since they're in legislative session, but that might be a good thing to invite them to, if they would be willing to come.
You know, when I started looking at the wildfire because of the all reviews survey results, there's such a big intersection of public policy, and there's so many state, federal. Did I hear correctly that there's not a city official on this, in this group?
There is not, it's on
Besides fire department, no.
Yeah. We have reached out.
So one, I just want to share one data point. Maybe you're familiar with CoreLogic. It's a data analytics. You've seen their most recent list of most at-risk cities. Bend is number 11. They base that on the amount of property in moderate to high risk wildfire area. 36,000 units, housing units in Bend are at moderate to high risk. We only have, I think the stock, the inventory is like in the 50,000s. So as a percentage of at-risk properties, it's probably number one. And I don't know about your insurance rates, but mine have doubled and I haven't had no claims. I was senior policy advisor to the Department of Insurance in Texas, also policy advisor to the Public Utility Commission in Texas. There was no way that you were going to operate a state without some sort of funding mechanism for catastrophes along that Texas coast. And they had a robust bond authorized entity to fund that because the insurers could not ever handle it. It's my understanding there's a work group right now that's working on trying to figure out how to fund the Oregon Department of Forestry and other related entities to mitigate and respond to fires. To me, that's a shock because if you don't have a funding mechanism for those entities that are responsible at the front end, and they go into debt about $100 million a year in Oregon, they want to do things like they want to take the baby steps of adding a fee to every homeowner's insurance policy. They want to do a fee for everybody that has an electric meter. That's what they're talking about in those subcommittee meetings. There has to be a much broader base of funding stream for wildfire response and mitigation. And at Bend, the city doesn't have a big profile here, given the risk profile that they have, is also something that hopefully we can change in the goal setting process. We're gonna be active in that goal setting process, but if you just get down to the neighborhood level and you want to give them advice, what our members were asking first was, how do we get out? Because Portland's closed, Newport's jammed, how would you even get out of your neighborhood? The next concern is like, what can we do? And I don't know if it's a 5-foot perimeter, I don't know if it's a 10, there's 10-foot perimeter based on the new maps that were released that also give a false impression that there's some areas in Bend that are low risk. So we're looking for just the right information to give our 1,350 members so that they can take some responsibility in their own backyards and front yards, side yards. But we don't want to give them the wrong information. We want to give them the right information. We want to be consistent, and we want to do it in a coordinated fashion where it has the most impact. So hopefully this will be an opportunity. She's waving at me, but we would like on topics of, education. The first, I think, step would be, what do we tell folks about evacuation? What do we tell folks about mitigation for themselves, for their own life and safety?
For now, go to that website, because that says it all in there, the new website. And then second, I would just really quick would like to say, each community that has those concerns, please sign up for our home protection strategies workshop, 4-hour workshop. It's free. It talks about all of that. And again, Corinne's gonna put that in the chat. So please sign up for that. We need to hear from you guys who needs this information.
And that, the QR coded link is in the newsletter.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay,
I haven't taken it out since you guys gave it.
perfect.
So, still in there.
Okay.
I have a few people that have been waiting online. Aaron?
Thanks. It's been a long time since I was really up to speed on the cost defray grant opportunities that are out there. But I wonder, since so much of the problem is, not to take anything away from the public policy facets, but a lot of the problem is existing structures, and whether it's a retrofit on fencing or soffit venting or whatever the basic home survivability practices. Is there anything's come available through Inflation Reduction Act or any other the newer funding sources that we can direct people to help understand those needs? Is that a no?
I'm not aware of any grants, Aaron,
Just for home hardening.
or home hardening. The grants have been for fuel reduction, fuel mitigation.
Well, what we've done with the UDRC starting this year is, when we're offering assistance for, an incentive program that gives them something towards, defensible space. Most people think that defensible space is like outside of their home, but it needs to include the home. And so this year we changed it to where we listed certain things that they could do. For instance, to change their venting. And if they show the receipts for that, that could be included as an and or. And slowly people are becoming more aware that the ember intrusion is a big deal, not just the plants and trees.
Where are you getting that funding?
We're getting them from different places. I know I don't know if we're even gonna have time for a roundtable today, but we just got $1,000. No, we got we got $20,000 of new funding, for instance. We opened our program, on the 15th of January, or last week. And, the last I heard, there were only we could only accept 8 more applicants, just because people are flocking to it, because we've been doing it for a few years and they're waiting for us now. So, we could get a lot more takers. We're constantly looking, but
And
I mean,
you had
in
your
terms
hand
of,
up?
oh, sorry, I was just gonna
Sorry.
add that
Oh, go ahead.
in terms of partnership opportunities that the city and builders would be willing to participate in, it's not as hot a rail to touch to try and see if we can build something around retrofits as opposed to the, it's just you all know this, it's a tougher pill on the code side on the front end as far as the political situation around it. And maybe there's something fertile there to pursue if we can identify a funding source.
Brenda, did you still have something to share?
Oh, hi. Yeah, I just wanted to second Raymond's comments about fire being fire and not wildfire versus urban fire. As we found out in LA a couple of weeks ago, I can really attest to that. Second, one of the things that I thought might be a topic, besides evacuation routes, which Melissa actually pointed out is on the back, I saw in the news the other day that Deschutes the forest is closing a pretty sizable chunk for the next year or so in order to do fire prevention, mitigation, like fuel reduction. And I was wondering if that might be a topic as well, because there's still a lot of, I think, just misinformation, disinformation out there about the importance of doing that kind of thing. So I don't know if that would be helpful to have as a topic as well, but it sounds interesting to me.
And that's a great idea, Brenda. I think it's important to showcase what Deschutes National Forest has been doing, because they are killing it out there. They're doing a ton of work. Right now, they're working south of Deschutes River Woods for their thinning project. So I think that's a really good educational topic to show what the National Forest is doing to help the residents of city as well. City and county.
I agree. I think it's fantastic.
And it's not just done, in West Bend, like I said, down by Deschutes River Woods, there's been like a year's worth of project to create a kind of catcher's mitt around a lot of sisters and other communities. And I know they're really focusing down on the Pine area too. So it's not just a Bend thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Brenda, this is Kevin Moriarty. We usually have someone from the Forest Service that will speak yearly on projects, and we'll continue to have that. I think the one you're mentioning is the Cabin Meat project that briefly started up, and there's a few more large scale projects going on throughout the county that we can definitely speak to. So we'll make sure we have a presenter on that.
But Kevin, when we do have the Forest Service present, could we have someone from the Recreation Department at the Forest Service be part of that? Particular, I'm thinking of the campgrounds. The Forest Service is broken up into different departments, and they don't seem to be coordinating with larger Forest Service as far as how to treat ladder fuels, for instance.
Like what's actually happening at the campground. So
What's happening in the campgrounds is they're allowing campfires oftentimes well into the fire season. and, they're not doing ladder fuel reduction. Or, thinning from below type of treatment. They're mostly, from what I've observed, taking down hazard trees that are perhaps in danger of falling on someone that are camping there. But in my area, at least, the two closest campgrounds are way more prone than the treated areas that the Forest Service has done all around them.
Yeah.
You know, are in those areas.
Yeah, we can certainly find out if there's someone from recreation.
Because when I checked with the Forest Service, they said, oh, that's a different department. And they
Yeah.
have their own thing, and I don't know how they're funded or whatever.
So if you're looking for somebody, it would be the program manager, Sarah Bachman, for the Deschutes
Okay.
National Forest, and then all the campgrounds on the Deschutes National Forest are operated by a third-party concessionaire. So you could also talk to the special permits person who would be Brooke Andrew.
Okay.
Just trying to help out.
Concession people, they're not looking to prevent fires.
That would need to come through their operations that are signed off by the Forest Service, permitted trigger and Holly.
That's just kind of like a gap that is falling through things.
Yeah.
Trying to get the link for the home parking class there.
Robin?
So I'm gonna piggyback now on something that you just brought up, and that is recreational services, campgrounds, that kind of sparked a thought, that we focus a lot on residents. We don't really focus or can't focus on visitors to Central Oregon. And I wonder if we could somehow create a connection with Visit Bend, or Visit Oregon, you know, just to help educate. I mean, I know that they've got funding, but then just to raise awareness, I think, for people who might be visiting our community from abroad, not overseas, but just.
Good luck, other than the Smokey the Bear commercial.
I know.
People are pretty stupid about fire, even in the campgrounds. I can't count how many fires I've put out that people are done camping and then they just leave.
Maybe that would be a good way to tie in Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
So I work for Discover Your Forest. We're the nonprofit education and outreach and forest stewardship and volunteer managers for the Forest Service locally. And then my position is the Wildland Fire Education Coordinator. We're currently in discussions with Visit Bend and Visit Central Oregon on partnering on a lot of different education opportunities, including fire. And then I also am launching a experiential workshop at targeted groups like resort seasonal staff and you know, seasonal staff and frontline staff for these visiting groups and recreation groups. I'm going to reach out to the manager at REI, those kinds of folks, to do a basic fire ecology and forest restoration 2-hour workshop, just to like go to them, introduce them to these concepts and like what some basic messaging can be to help, whether that lands or not. You know, it's not enforcement. Worth a shot.
Ren, also, maybe we could, maybe you've had her in the past, I'm not sure, but Chris Babs from Keep Oregon Green. As
From where?
Keep Oregon Green, as one of our speakers, I'm one of the directors there, and they've been around since 1942. They're the oldest wildfire prevention group in the state of Oregon. For years, we struggled with our budget, but they're the ones that offer up this Bear license plates, which has been a huge benefactor for our organization. We have this year in a budget for education about $1 million throughout the state of Oregon.
Well, we need a partner.
They're a great partner, yeah. So maybe, you know, have Chris either zoom in or come over, and where he gives a presentation how they can help this group. And how we can help them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think along those lines is like Central Oregon receives a lot of visitors from throughout Oregon and the West Coast. A lot of these areas are also fire affected communities. So like people coming up from California to Sun River. Yeah, it's not the chaparral fuel type, but it's a, you know, dry pine forest, whatever, but I think so, be able to make those connections when people are here and even just in subtle ways to say, yeah, this is still wildfire country. Here's some basic things. So probably things you would do at home are very similar. So aligning strategies, that's where we run into in emergency management. There's this, like, everybody wants to do their own way and do it this, and they want it because they want to do it fast. Like, you know, somebody comes to city council meeting and they raise an issue and somebody says, fix this. So we do something. It may not be as aligned with another community down the street or across the hill. And so it takes a lot longer to do things collectively as a state, as a region, as a Western United States. So I think we need to look back to the plan. We need to look for opportunities to kind of align what we're telling people, not only just throughout Deschutes County, but throughout at least the state where possible, because that's where those benefits are going to happen. When somebody shows up to visit Bend or Central Oregon and they're from another place in Oregon, hopefully they're seeing and hearing things that are similar to what they've heard at home. And so I think that alignment of strategies, messaging, tools should really be aligned across at minimum the state, and we should look for opportunities to kind of align. California is totally different for a lot of reasons, like laws, like for around evacuation, for example. Oregon, although you can do a mandatory evacuation, I don't think I've ever seen one done because it requires a declaration of emergency and a specific clause in that declaration. And practically it doesn't work anyway, but so there's just some nuances. So I think aligning things, looking for opportunities to align with similar groups in Oregon, or at least, and start to kind of draw those and partnership. You know, and that would be a great opportunity for those Keep Oregon Green funds, because, you know, then it would benefit the whole state, right?
And we've done that with the signs, Keep Oregon Green, we have on every highway in the state of Oregon. And it's not education, it's awareness.
Right.
There's a difference between awareness and education.
It's like, oh yeah, I saw that one.
So get a test and find out how much did they actually retain.
Yeah.
for that. So we have to talk about awareness, and we've also done that in Deschutes County Fire District number 2. As you come into our fire district, yes, you're entering the fire district number 2, but we also have a fire danger sign. And City of Bend Fire and Fire District 2, we also created the Smoky Bear fire danger signs, which is now throughout the nation. But again, it's terrific awareness. When these visitors see these signs, they know right away what is the fire danger in our area, and hopefully it gives them a mental note. You know,
Yeah.
hey, maybe we should be a little bit safer at that campfire barbecue.
Yeah.
Whatever it might be.
Yeah.
James, you have something to share on that?
Good morning. Just a second. Yeah, hi. I'm James Dorothy. I'm the board chair for Old Farm District Neighborhood Association, and I'm also on the board of Envision Bend. Got a couple quick questions. I've talked with some of you about this whole topic in the last few weeks, intensively or extensively. First, who is the best person at Project Wildfire as a contact, so I can reach out and have a much longer conversation?
I think Corinne Heiner, I'm the fire deputy community coordinator for the county, or Kevin Moriarty, the county force.
And can you put that name in the chat so I can just see how it's spelled? And then on that note, the Old Farm District Board, we represent currently 5,500 plus residences and growing every day in the southeast side of town. In April, we're going to be trying to hold a summit regarding basically everything you guys have been talking about today. We're going to be reaching out to a few of you. Like I said, I've already talked with some of you. Normally our meetings of this sort of nature have between 200 and 300 people. If anybody wants to use this as a precursor to what you'd like to talk about or show up for future meetings, we've definitely been the guinea pig on many topics. I don't want to take up too much of your time because I'll call you all independently. That said, the Old Farm Board is, in regards to the city council and the meeting tonight and their goal setting session, we've expressed, or we have serious concerns that House Bill 2001 was pushed through during COVID, and the city of Bend went to the most extreme level of density, much greater than the state actually required. And one of the things we're going to be asking for is them to reconsider it, especially in the extreme areas. That's just sort of a heads up going forward. If any of you know me, I'm easy to find. Once again, James DeRofi, Old Farm District or Envision Bend, and Corinne and Kevin. Thank you for your contacts. I will reach out to you afterwards. Thank you.
James, this is Melissa Steele from Bend Fire Department. I'd love to take that opportunity to reach out, maybe do a presentation for your community on preparedness.
Melissa, I believe we chatted.
Did we? Sorry, I talked to like 8,000 people.
Yeah. It was a couple Fridays ago, and you had said you talked to a bunch of people.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I've got your
I'll
information.
follow up on that.
Yep, I will follow up with you on that. And I'm just trying to, we're going to dedicate for more than an hour for the summit regarding this topic. And there are a lot of people extremely concerned regarding the southeast side of town. So I look forward to talking to all of you in the future. And this is a very serious conversation that our politicians and our residents need to hear and be a part of. So with that, I will let all of you go, unless you have questions.
Right, so I wanted to leave some time for a round table, and before I start that, but I do it now.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't make it on time at the road department this morning. Just some basic announcements. Probably the biggest one is we're gonna have the bin rental program again this year. We ran that as a pilot last year, so that's essentially those big dumpsters that people can rent. We're gonna have a program where we provide that service. It's gonna be an actual application, just like we have our fire fuels grant application. It's gonna be very similar in nature. It's just gonna be a pretty simple form that you fill out with some basic information in there. It is a community scale project. Again, we tend to lean more towards those type projects because things need to be done on community level to get fire adapted. We have about $75,000, and we estimate that'll be about 30 awards, so 30 different communities that we could award this to. The grant itself will be on the Deschutes County Natural Resources page. We will also provide those links in Project Wildfire, email strings and things like that. You can always reach out to myself or Corinne, or Lauren is actually going to be running this grant this time. So if you have any questions, reach out to us on it. But if you were in the program last year, it's going to be pretty similar to what happened last year. Probably the only difference is we're going to probably request a little more metrics on what's actually happening, as far as like how many community members are involved, how many people participated, how many houses participated, things like that. So we can kind of, highlight some of our success stories. That's probably the big announcement. And then I also want to just welcome Lauren Street to our team. I don't know if she's been officially announced in Project Wildfire yet, but she's our new natural resources specialist, grant coordinator. She's going to be a great help. A lot of you know her from other parts of her career, as a lot of good work she's done in Bend. But she will be the primary person managing grants moving forward. So I want to welcome Lauren to our team, and if anyone else has questions or comments, send them our way. Yeah, go ahead.
What was the name of the grant that you were talking about? I'm sorry, I missed that.
What are we calling it? The bin rental program? Yeah, the sweat equity bin rental program. And it's
Not that specific to bin?
No, it's for the county. It's countywide. So any community in the county can apply. You don't have to be Firewise. It's always encouraged, but you don't have to be. But it is a community scale project, so we're not encouraging individual homeowners to apply. We're encouraging people on behalf of the community. Yeah.
When will it post, Kevin?
When do you think? January?
It's
It should be end of January. We're working with IT right now to just make it live, so they have all the information, so it's really maybe hopefully in like the next week or so. But yeah, if it's open by the end of January, we're hoping to have it open through all of February and then start awarding in early March.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
All right, so we'll go ahead and do our roundtable. Do you have anything to share?
Just one quick thing for the Red Cross. I kind of bring this up usually every year about this time when we're reviewing our project of work. One of the objectives you had up there was engaging the business community in wildfire resiliency. And as I've said before, the Red Cross kind of has a tool that introduces businesses to that concept. It's called the Red Cross Rating Program. It's an online self-paced tool that any business or any other organization can use to kind of assess what issues they deal with as far as risks to their organization and developing plans to address those risks, identify gaps and so on. It's not specific to wildfire, but it can kind of be that entry door to have that conversation. And it's something that organizations and businesses can do on their own, but Red Cross is always available to facilitate that. So just again, offer that tool.
Marianne? You have anything to share?
Oh, I think things that I was interested in has been covered. So we're doing a pretty good job. I think Melissa would say that.
Yes, you are. You guys are doing a great job.
So, yeah. And evacuation has been my number one for a number of years, is to get out on Century and to get out of town. We've watched the fires in LA. That's been a big problem down there. People getting out of their communities. They've been closed off, so the equipment can get in. Work, so that's a real problem, I think. For us.
David?
Yeah, we have some organizational changes, so we're run a little skinny in our unit, so bouncing around from a few things, but we do have our planned, we're going into our kind of although it never ends anymore, our pre-season preparedness. So we'll be doing our access and functional needs outreach prior and alert test. And then we'll follow that in May with our countywide emergency alert test. So I want to say that's like May 4th or 5th. I can't remember off the top of my head. Somewhere that first week of May is that countywide test. So encourage everybody to take that as an opportunity to update their profile. And then, yeah, just continue to revise a lot of our evacuation practices and tools to help people feel a little bit more comfortable in their decision-making around when, how, and what to do when that call comes.
We don't have anything, do we? I don't think we have anything to add.
Oh, no, I did have.
We do.
No, and not to be repetitive, but it just seems watch duty. I hear so many people in Southern California that were like, I didn't know there was fire down the street. No, and no disrespect, I get it. The more people we can get on watch duty, even more so than the text co-fire, because you're not gonna text us till we're in trouble. Watch duty, and that's
I'd be
right?
happy to address watch duty. I think you bring up a great point. Watch duty is a phenomenal tool and they do a great job, but it's not official information. They're aggregating information and so they're aggregating a bunch of information. The problem with relying on watch duty alone or prioritizing what watch duty is telling you versus what the official alert is that our alerts actually are coming pretty fast and watch duty is pulling that information, actually rebroadcasting it in most cases. So I encourage people to do both or all of the above. And CO Fire, what you want to do is you want to sign up, you want to go to Deschutes Alerts and sign up for the full profile.
Right.
CO Fire is it's a similar, well, it used to be part of our system, now it's its own, but long story short. That's a text word for primary prescribed fire, smoke, and then some wildfire notification like FY, there's a fire, but it's not emergent. So yeah, watch duty is a great tool. I definitely encourage people to use it with the context of, it's still technically not official information.
Total makes great sense, and only as a tool to be a first, keep your awareness a little higher so that you may say, I just want to go now. I don't want to wait till I'm back, but absolutely.
And that's great
it does
advice.
not
I'm glad you
replace.
brought that up.
Because when we were last year, and Kevin, you know this, there was a level 3 brought down to the visitor center, and we were all in a bit of a panic going, okay, we're not being, so I don't want to belabor, but the point is, all those tools are just such a great initial thing to bring people aware to what's going on in the community, so you're not in emergency evacuation if you don't have to be. That was it.
I would say just along those lines is like when you have those wind event scenarios like LA or 2020 Labor Day fires or Alameda, those should be those days. And we're trying to figure out how to better bring awareness because there's like a few days a year, honestly, that most communities fall into that. That's a completely different scenario. So like your standard, even with like the Bachelor Butte complex, which, yeah, and unfortunately, sometimes you got to draw a line somewhere, and it got way too close to Widgie Creek. But
It's all fine. We
yeah,
can understand.
but,
I'd rather have it too close and
but
not close enough.
those days are really something that like you just have to be absolutely high alert. So I'm glad you brought that up. And yeah, you see smoke fire, you want to leave. I'm glad you. That's great advice.
That's our motto. Yeah.
Yeah, I certainly fall into the camp of like, I should just go. Pass them.
The only thing I was gonna bring up is I see that Corinne put the wildfire home protection strategies QR code in the chat. This is for anybody, again, that is a community or you are interested in attending. Once we see a whole bunch of people in a certain location, that's how we gauge where we're going, where that class is gonna be. And so please sign up for that. And then the last thing is a reminder about our assessor class. So I am putting on an assessor class for those that have already, and I'm putting this out, already attended a wildfire home protection strategies course. This is an advanced, I'm gonna call it advanced. This is for somebody that wants to go out in their community and be that assessor. Like I said, I got over 200 requests. I can't do them all. A lot of them are from certain neighborhoods or right down the street. So if there is someone in the neighborhood that says, I want to help my community out, I want to be this assessor and go do these homes. Aubrey Butte is a great example. They have 18 assessors. I don't ever step foot in Aubrey Butte. It's amazing. They do a great job and they do most all of the homes. So that class again is going to be February 19th. That's a Wednesday. It's from 6 to 7 p.m. I'm going to try to hold it to an hour. We're gonna try to hold it to an hour. 6 to 7 p.m. and that's at Pilot Butte Station, the fire station 306 in the center of town off of 15th. I think it's 425 15th Street. So again, if you want to sign up for that class, please email me directly. Corinne, can you put my email in the chat? And email me directly. I think right now we've got probably 25 people, but the more the merrier. It's a big conference room. So just wanted to bring that up. Probably the only one we are going to do this year, just so you know.
For Fire District 2, just want to state that we still have some funds left for small community projects. We budget only about $1,000 a year, but we give, I think so far we give out like 5 grants to homeowners groups within Fire District number 2. These are usually $1,000, $2,000 grants. They're matching. Pretty simple. They just need to turn in receipts. If they want to match that with Firewise sweat equity hours, they could do that at the rate that Firewise claims out there is well over $20 an hour. So we still have some funds there. If you live within Fire District 2, get a hold of me. And I just want to say one thing, until codes and planning departments and building departments catch up to where we need to go, it's Firewise neighborhoods, it's public education awareness, it's peer pressure. You know, we keep hearing about victims out there, and I truly agree, you're a victim, such as when you lost your home, you did everything right, I mean, the neighbor didn't do it. So they become a liability. You're a victim if you did everything right, but your home still burned. But if you took the education to do it, great. If you didn't take the education, you continue to live with your immediate surroundings with bark mulch, tree limbs down to the ground and gutters full of pine needles, you're a liability. So it's whatever your neighbor does or doesn't do that lives close by can directly affect the outcome of your home. So peer pressure is huge for these home associations. That's all.
Tactful manipulation.
Come talk to my. So, two other Firewise coordinators and I are working together within the Summit West Neighborhood District to reach out to other neighborhoods, connect with residents to hopefully find those smart plugs who will serve as, you know, who will be engaged and willing to create Firewise communities within those neighborhoods. So that's what we're working on. We'll see how it goes. I think that's it.
I'm the emergency manager for the Central Wilderness District, but I'm also now a program manager for a group that we're building. It's going to be the Wildfire Intelligence Center. So Pacific Power is across all 6 states, building a kind of watch center to be able to look for new fire starts, you know, validate information coming in through different sources, that kind of stuff. So I can do a presentation later on that once we've built it out further and kind of tested it a little bit. It's brand new. A lot of the bigger utilities, especially down in California, already have these kinds of centers that provide intelligence to the company. And so it's a big ask for us to be able to watch 6 states at one time with one person on staff. So we'll see how that goes, but we're super excited about it. We're hoping this will really help mitigate a lot of fires in our area and be able to address power in those fire kind of, you know, prone areas better. I might be asking, you know, like ideas and stuff like that of what you guys are doing in your areas, things I would love. Right now, one of the big things that we're trying to tackle is prescribed burn information, how we get that to our local communities, our local wires groups and stuff. So if anybody has ideas on that, I heard your code fire, CO fire.
Yeah, that's a prescribed fire notification, primarily for smoke and prescribed fire notification.
Yeah, so any ideas anybody has, like, yeah, great.
We can send you all our keywords.
Does PPML have a policy for underground power for neighborhoods?
So it depends on, yeah, it's not so much a policy, it's more of a look at it as a case by case basis. It can be in some areas extremely expensive, depending upon, you know, like it could be granite that you're drilling through, it could be different kinds of things, you know, have to take out infrastructure, and it also depends on the city itself and what their requirements are. But we try to, of course, always in new builds, have underground, start with that. And I know that we have increased our fire mitigation and response, fuel mitigation, all that kind of stuff this year, which I can kind of do a big presentation on that and what that looks like for 2025.
But it's not a requirement.
It is not a requirement.
So maybe that's where PPL can take that first step for map wildfire hazard areas and any subdivision underground.
And that's what I think that their goal is to be able to do that. It definitely does depend on, because we are an investor-owned utility, we don't want to make massive amount of costs on our ratepayers. So it has to be cost effective. So it can't be so incredibly expensive to where our ratepayers have to pay, you know, hundreds of dollars more a month versus, you know, having it over, you know, in the wires. You know,
but one of your lines is responsible for a fire of that magnitude, it could also go back on your repairs.
And so that's where that fire mitigation kind of like project planning comes in place. So they look at the area, what is the fire consequence in that area? And so then they kind of weigh like, okay, hey, what is the cost? What is the fuel risk? What is the fire risk in that area? And obviously it makes more sense to underground it if it's pretty high.
Has Pacific Power ever gone back and taken the step to underground?
Yeah.
Existing wires? And can communities ask for that?
I
How
don't
does that,
think
how does that process start?
for undergrounding.
Right, so high hazard community. And well, half of the Summit West neighborhood district is high hazard.
Yeah, I think for right now, it might be more of a conversation for later,
Yeah.
because it's a more in-depth conversation. But it's not, it takes, you know, yeah, it's a big, it takes quite a few, you know, individuals at the table to be able to talk about it. Because there's different factors that come into play with it, so if there's, you know, of course, the cost to underground it itself. You know, what kind of infrastructure do you have to dig out? There's also cost to ratepayers, there's cost. You know, for permitting with the county or the city. That sometimes the city pays a percentage and sometimes they don't. And so there's a bunch of factors that come into play with that. It's not a super simple, I don't think, unfortunately.
Yeah, no updates here, just excited to be here in the new role and continue working in the Central Oregon fire community. And I also just want to say thank you to a lot of you in the room that had probably a very big and stressful week last week. Not only did we have the wildfire risk map come out, but also the LA fires. I know people are getting a lot of calls about that. And I know, Melissa, you went ahead and pushed your wildfire preparedness website out. So I know that was probably a huge week for a lot of you. So thank you.
All right, we're about 8 minutes past 9:30, so go ahead and wrap it up. Yeah.
Yeah, just real quick, in Upper and Chief River communities and in South County in general, we need a lot more spark plugs. You know, people in the community, because the county can't like make a community fire adapted. We can't either. We can message, educate and stuff, but I'd be interested in some conversation about how we can get traction and engagement in a community, because a single person can make a big difference, but if you can create like even a small nucleus of people, they can really change the community.
Okay, thanks everyone for being here today. I'll get our strategic objectives for 2025 updated. If you have any other ideas for topics, please feel free to email.
Yeah.